see.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Difference. I'm Lyndon Wilson, your host. I'm joined by some of my friends today. The Difference is a show created for real estate agents, small business owners, and entrepreneurs, and we focus on the simple foundational principles for professional and personal growth and development that we all feel are critical to reaching new heights in professionalism. I wanted to introduce today's co-host. We're going to start with Sue Turk, Boston National Title. Tell us a little bit about you, Sue, and Boston National.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm happy to be here today. Boston National is a national title company headquartered out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We have been in Texas for approximately 8 years, and we do residential, commercial, nationwide, all kinds of title service. Our customer service is second to none. So we also own our own closing companies. So we have mortgage closers that will close round the clock, go to the customer to close no matter where they are, what state. So I hope that everyone will keep us in mind for their mortgage closing needs.
All right. And next to her, Bally Mendels with Supreme Lending. Bally.
Yes, I have been in the business of mortgage lending for about 17 years. We do everything residential, no commercial, unfortunately. Do you do commercial?
Yeah.
So nothing commercial, unfortunately. No land loans, anything like that, but residential, down payment assistance, you name it. Run it by us first to see if we can do it. Otherwise, we can broker it out.
Okay. And then to my left is Dane Wilson with Lender's Choice Credit Solution.
So we do credit repair. We work with people like Bally and
I have
realtors as
good
well.
credit.
Well, not
Just saying.
Thank you. Thanks for
Let's clarify
let me
that.
clarify
Just letting
for Bally's clients that need help with their credit. If they're trying to buy a house and they need to clean up their credit a little bit, we help with that. Been started the business 5 years ago, but I've been doing it a lot longer than that. My dad started a credit repair business a long time ago, so it's really all I've ever done. Just love educating people on how credit works. It's not really a subject most people know a lot about, and I am fascinated by it, and I love it, and so it's fun to be able to kind of add value in that way, and then just being able to help people, achieve their goals of home ownership makes every day fun.
And he's fantastic. He has helped some of my clients that listened and they bought houses.
Yes.
You know, one thing I'd like to add to that, because it is a stigma attached to it, unfortunately. And there are a lot of circumstances that can create some credit challenges for people. It's not anything to be ashamed of to have a lower credit score.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you don't do anything about it.
Right. That's true.
So if you guys are looking for title, mortgage, credit, some of the top professionals that I've known for a long time are sitting right here. And we're going to be discussing today, we're going to be discussing accountability. But before we do, we're going to toast.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. With our glasses.
This is our Toasting Tuesday here. Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to business and being the difference. I had to throw that in.
Being the difference.
I won't smash my glasses.
We are the difference. Please don't. All right, so accountability. We all have it, need it, want it. It's important. Tell me a little bit about, define it for me. What is accountability?
It's being answerable for your actions and the results of your actions.
Okay. Expand on that a little bit.
Basically, it's your role, whatever your job is, whatever you do. It's being responsible for how you do it and the results of it as well. I think that a lot of people are not accountable when they make a decision to do a job a certain way and then don't take ownership of the results.
Okay.
So that is the lack of accountability.
True. Bally, you're going through some accountability training, not training, but it's just part of what you're going through now.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I want to get to on this, is obviously we're here to talk about the difference and how to are the things that can make the difference in your personal development in business growth, right? So
Yeah.
you're going through something for that particular reason because you got high aspirations for 2020.
I do. I really want to go big in 2020. So we have a coach for our team who holds us accountable. And if you're wasting his time, he doesn't want you on the call. So, I mean, he's going to give you projects and things to do. And if you don't have that done and turned in, we'll get off my call.
Right.
You know, you're wasting his time. And then doing the one-on-one coaching, which I'll be doing as well, I'm going to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to expect things from me, and if I probably haven't done it, then my boss is going to find out, and everybody else is going to find out, and I'm going to be in trouble.
Back when I was in the, it's funny you say that because when I was in the mortgage business, we went through a program. I'm not going to name it because I'm not going to give them credit for it, but it was really good. But we had it was on Tuesdays, and it was an hour-long webinar, and you had a week to get your homework turned in. And if you didn't get your homework turned in, you didn't get access to the next webinar. Mm-hmm. And out of 8, I'm not bragging here. Mm-hmm. This disappointed me really. Out of 8 loan officers, I was the only one that completed it.
What?
Out of 8 loan officers, I was the only one that completed it.
Wow.
So, and it was amazing. And it really is. So, Dane,
That's
tell us.
because you wanted to succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, really, just piggybacking off of what Sue said, I agree. It's responsibility. Being held accountable is taking or holding yourself accountable is taking responsibility. And you said some people do it and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about it when I knew we were going to be talking about that today. And I think the reason why some people do and some people don't is because the ultimate goal, winning whatever it is you're trying to get to, has to be more important than your ego, your pride, your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. All the things that would keep somebody from wanting to be held accountable,
right?
You have to be willing. The ultimate goal, you being successful in the mortgage business or more successful than you already are, is more important to you than somebody saying you did something wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so only the people who put that goal first can really be held accountable or hold anybody else accountable or hold themselves accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So accountability can be a big part of your fix-it strategy too, right? I mean, that's kind of, I always talk about that. People kind of look at me, what does that mean?
Where you make a mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, something's going to happen, right? Generally, something's going to happen. Sometimes I'm going to be responsible for that. Mm-hmm. And I talk when I'm trying to build partnerships. One of the things I talk to people about, and this is what I learned in that program, is that when you're building partnerships, find out what their fix-it strategy is. Are they willing to be held accountable?
Right.
Or are they just going to throw everybody else under the bus? Mm-hmm. All right, because that's going to destroy the whole dynamic of the partnership. And in our business, in our world, it's not singular.
Right.
We're involved with a lot of people. You got title, you got mortgage. Sometimes you have credit. You've got inspection.
And realtors.
And then even under the mortgage, because I can speak about that, you've got your processor, you got your underwriter. There's so many people involved. So there's a lot of opportunities for someone to drop the ball sometimes.
And it happens.
It's going to happen. I mean, that's just, and it's not, again, it's kind of like what I was talking about with the credit score. It's dropping the ball is not the problem.
It's what you do after.
It's what you do after. Absolutely.
Right.
And I had a conversation today with one of the realtor partners that I work with. Accountability. Something happened. A big mistake happened. But it was being brushed under the rug by somebody else, and accountability was not being taken. But as soon as this person found out, they took charge and they said, we're going to have to fix this and take care of it. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in the mortgage business. Mistakes happen. We're all human. But as long as you fix it and you take accountability before it gets out of control, you're fine. Mm-hmm. It's where you let it go and it gets worse and it gets worse and it's over.
And I think successful people want to take accountability or responsibility for as much as possible because they want ultimately to get to the end goal. And if you take responsibility, then you can figure out how to fix it. But if you're saying, it wasn't me, then you're not getting any closer to what you're trying to achieve.
Ignoring the problem.
Yeah, most successful people I feel like are kind of control freaks in a way. They want to have control over anything and everything they can because they feel like that's going to give the best chance of getting the job done or the goal achieved.
And I'm a control freak.
And talk about what Bally said, there's also such thing as team accountability.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And, as I go out, I do what I do knowing that I've got the team behind me to back me up. So, but you're right, Bally, there are things that happen, because the title process is a long process as far as You know, we have our exam department and our underwriting and closing and everything else. So it's important to have clear communication and clear roles for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and then hold everyone accountable to
Right.
to what their role is.
Yep.
Some people make mistakes because they didn't know. They claim they they didn't know better,
Or
they
they're
didn't
just doing
yeah.
too much.
But it is
Yeah.
it's a learning opportunity,
Right, right.
And so if you are accountable, you're open to that. And so one of the other things that, and Dane touched on this a little bit, and I'm going to jump ahead here, but I think it's the time to do that. You hear me talk about, and people talk about being transactional versus relational.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, transactional people rarely are going to hold themselves accountable because it's about the transaction. I will drop it and move on to the next one because I'm looking for the check.
Mhm.
Relational people have to be accountable or you destroy the relationship in the beginning because everybody knows who did it.
Right.
Right.
Everybody knows who dropped the ball. They're looking at you. You either accept it, explain it, fix it, and move on. And that even deepens the trust, I think.
Right.
Because
I agree.
because you've got too many out there that aren't willing to do that. And so when you find that golden nugget of the people, when you put that team together, that everybody's willing to be accountable, that creates value in the
Yeah,
team.
that's huge. And also, as you're building your team, asking those direct questions
Yep.
to find out how they're going to be, if you know, are they going to hold themselves accountable in a situation. And it's also, if you're as you're hiring people, they're going to look to you as the role model. So you have to make sure
Starts with
that
you.
show yourself
Mhm.
accountable,
And you teach
they'll
them that way.
yeah.
Starts with you. Can't hold
Yeah.
other people accountable if you're
You're
not
not.
doing it. And there's been times in my business, being honest, that I've had that struggle. We put things in the CRM a certain way. You put notes in. You set tasks. You do things a certain way. There's a system. Well, there's been times where I've been busy or distracted or whatever other excuse I can come up with, and I haven't done it. It's gonna be really hard for me to go
Shame
back
on
and
you.
ask other people.
Yeah.
You know, but because I understand that and I ultimately want the job to get done, that keeps me in line. I'm holding myself accountable because I know I can't hold anybody else accountable if I can't lead by example.
Right, or you hire people and you try and show them the way you have
Right.
it set up, the way your system works, and then once you're done with the training, they go back to the way they used to do it at the other place they worked.
Right.
Yeah.
You go,
Well, process
Yeah,
is important.
exactly.
The process is important because it allows people to identify where the accountability needs to be held.
right,
Okay, if you don't have a process, and it's really easy for everybody to say that wasn't my fault. You know,
Right.
we don't. How do we know how we were supposed to do it?
right, and you know it takes time and effort to hold someone else accountable. It's
Yeah.
not, and so a lot of leaders will just say, "Oh, forget it." You know, they're getting the job done somehow, you know, or something like that. But it takes time and effort to hold other people.
You got to hold yourself accountable to hold other
yeah,
people
yeah,
accountable.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know what? In this business as well, I mean, the whole accountability. One thing about our team as well is, a mistake happens, we fix it. We figure it out. How did it happen? You know, so it's a coaching.
Mhm.
So you're learning from it, and you make sure it doesn't happen again.
right.
But at the end result is the team comes together. We fix it.
Yep.
Fix it and move on. So and not make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right.
So let me open this up and for discussion. And I heard this. We did an event the other night, and it turned out it just blew my mind. There was some really talented people there. One of the guys that actually wasn't part of the speakers, but he said this. He talked about acceptable performance versus exceptional performance. And it got me to thinking when I started preparing this for accountability, how accountability plays a role in doing just enough. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about acceptable versus exceptional. A couple of things. There's a video out, and I'll share that. I can share that on the Facebook Live later. When you're looking to go from acceptable to exceptional, one of the terms that this guy used, he goes, "I'm going to do that, and then some." That goes from acceptable, I'm going to do that,
To exceptional.
and then some. Now I'm exceptional.
Yeah.
The other is above and beyond. I'm going to go above and beyond. Acceptable is just doing the bare minimum. Just I'm going to do enough to get this job accepted. I'm going to do enough so that the client doesn't bitch and moan too bad.
Right.
I'm going to do enough to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptional is doing what you are expected to do, meeting expectations, and then going above and beyond by doing and then some. And accountability, I think, allows us to do that. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think when you went back to earlier where you said transactional people, the transactional people are going to do the bare minimum.
They're going to be the acceptable
Or
version.
employee-minded
Acceptable.
versus
Yep.
Right. They're going to be that. And then the ones that are people who are completely in control that, you know, like I control my files. I don't let go and everybody can tell you that. I'm going to be the one that I go above and beyond. But that's how I always do my business.
So let me. Is there a? And I know there is because I've been around those people. I've worked to be that type of person. But when you're going from acceptable to exceptional, do you not have a vision, a desire? I mean, part of the training that you're going through now is that not to bring yourself to a status, to a professional level above and beyond
Right.
your competition?
Right?
I mean,
You got to be different. You got to stand out.
you do.
Right.
I mean, what's the who wants to be in the middle? First of all, let me stop for a minute. Let's get away from being business people and go to be consumers. Okay, so there are 5 different types of professionals, in my opinion. There's a hobby. Some of y'all have heard me talk about this. Hobby, part-time, semi-pro, professional, and elite professional. Okay. Now, as a consumer, because even though we're in business, we're consumers too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Who do we want taking care of us?
The elite.
The elite.
The elite.
What's the name of my team? The elite team.
Oh, we didn't even
Oh.
plan that.
He just walked right into that.
We are the elite.
Okay. So, I mean, if you're going to say it, you got to back
We're
it
the
up.
we
Yeah.
do back it up.
Right.
100%.
You got to back it up. So, the thing that the thing that frustrates me so bad is when the ones below elite want to charge premium pricing.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And so now let's go back to being business owners. If I'm always being there, if I'm always having to debate and negotiate the fee I'm charging, that might be something I need to look into as far as, am I really elite? Am I being perceived as elite? And if I'm not being perceived as elite, why? Because I'm not going to argue with someone that I believe to be the top of their game.
Right.
Where else do I go?
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere else to go.
And
They're
they say you get what you pay for.
you get what you pay for. But
Right.
if in my mind they are the top of the game, they are it. There's nobody better than them. I can't argue pricing.
Right.
Mhm.
that. And if you're elite, I think a lot of people in that category think I'm still going to give more value than even what I'm charging. So that person who's paying premium pricing still feels like they're getting a deal.
They're gonna get that and then some and
Yeah.
above and beyond.
Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
still getting more than what they feel like they paid.
So our expectations of those 5 different ones. I mean, my expectation of a part-timer over a hobby is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
My expectation over a semi-pro over a part-timer is going to be different. Definitely elite over all of the other 4 is going to be different. My expectations are different, and it is going to be, they're not going to do the acceptable job. They're going to do the exceptional job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And to get back to our topic, accountability for me plays a huge role in that. But it's not just accountability to if something goes wrong. It's our accountability to our commitment to become better ourselves, right?
And you're doing that every year. You're learning.
You should
You got to
be,
better
but
yourself
you should be.
all the time. You're learning constantly.
And keep setting higher
Yeah,
expectations.
exactly. Different things. I mean, it's always something different every year.
So let's talk a little bit about how we make that happen, because I feel like, I feel blessed to be in this environment because we're having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough of these conversations in the business world. I think we isolate ourselves, and I understand why. People are busy, they're working.
Right.
This guy works, 15, 16-hour days and has a baby. So I know that we all do. I know you work a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you follow the right people on social media. You see when they're working.
yeah.
Okay. So sometimes it's hard to have the networking and the conversations that you need to. But isn't it important to have these type of people in our lives
It's
that
very
that
important.
hold us accountable.
Right.
And it may not be me, Sue, going, Sue, you know better. You can do better. It's just that you have a reputation that you don't want to tarnish,
Right.
right? When you hang out with and Dane, you talk about this all the time. When you hang out with the right group of people, you have to level up.
Mm-hmm.
You do not. If you're elite, you don't want to be the weak link in that group, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
And so that's a form of accountability, I think, that plays a big role in just our growth and development to keep leveling up. Whether you start at hobby, it doesn't mean you have to stay there. Okay, I'm cool with wherever somebody starts.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see, if I'm going to partner with them, I want to see their determination and their commitment and their blueprint or game plan.
And are they elite like you?
But they may not be today.
They're right.
All
They're
right.
not. Not all of them
But
are.
So-
I know what you're saying. Are
Yeah.
are you willing to invest in them, and but to see
Are
if
they invested in themselves?
right,
Right.
to see if they want to grow and build into a higher status.
And I
Right.
think that's why so many people are not allowed into some circles that they would love to be in. You see it all the time.
Right.
Each one of you has had someone come to you and say, "Hey, I'd like to partner with you." What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? You just want my database.
Yep.
You want to be introduced to someone that can give you money. All right, then that goes back to transactional versus relational. You're not looking to build a relationship with me. You're looking at how I can introduce you to some transactions.
How can you help me?
How can you help
Right.
me?
Right.
Yeah, I've
And-
had people say, "I want to ride around with you all day. I want you to send me your calendar. I want you things like that." And I say,
They
"You
want to
would-
ride around
you
with you
would-
all day?
you wouldn't be able to keep up."
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Oh my
Seriously, they would
God.
not.
I know, Dane, you said something to me a while back, which cracked me up. But you said whenever you get really tired and you think you just can't do anymore, you think of me.
That's right. You and a few other people. It motivates me.
I remember meeting Sue 2 years ago, and it was around Christmas-
Again, because we met a long time ago. We forgot we met. Yeah.
You're right. But we're getting ready to do a Christmas party,
Yeah.
and Sue had to go. You hit 3 that night. 3.
So that
You really
was-
choked on yours.
I'm not surprised.
You hit 3 that night. You came to ours, which was over in Dallas. Then you one up in far north Dallas, and then one back way south again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, me personally, I'm like, I'd have met one of them.
You can't really appreciate it until you're at that event with Sue, and then it's over, and you're like, yes, I get to go home. And then a few
Yeah.
hours later,
Then
you see
another-
her at the next one, and you're like,
Yeah.
Right.
oh, she's still going.
Maybe I wasn't too tired.
Exactly.
And then you look
That's
around on
Wonder
social
Woman.
you look around on social media, and you're like, you see these people that you aspire to be, and you may be sitting somewhere and you're like, man, they're still working. God,
Right.
they're still working. And that in itself allows you to hold yourself accountable, and they don't even realize that they're the impact
That's
player
true.
in that.
Can I
That's
tell
true.
y'all a weird, funny story about that?
Sure.
So I usually get off work about 6:30, go pick up food because we just don't cook. And then I have like 15, 20 minutes to hang out with Brooks, my son, and then my wife puts him to bed. We start working right away, and I usually take a break at midnight, and I'll go take Bailey on a walk, my dog on a walk. And every night when I'm making the same lap, there's a guy at his computer and his windows, like his screen's always up. And it just, every night, it motivates me because I'm like,
Wow.
I'm going to work longer than you do
Wow.
every single day.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That's pretty motivating, though.
Yeah.
I'd go knock on his door, see what he does.
Right. Yeah, no, seriously. I'm
That's
curious.
somebody that has goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long he works, but I just tell myself like I'm gonna work later than you do tonight, and I don't
You
even
should
know what he
knock on-
does.
honestly, you should knock on his door one day, not at midnight or
Mhm.
early hours. Just
Why
one
not?
day,
He's
just-
up.
That is true. That
He
is
may be
true.
sleeping during the day.
But you should
Right.
just say, "You inspire me." Maybe you can find out what he does and
Yeah.
you know why he does what he does.
That probably
Right?
just
I think
juice
that would,
him up a little bit and go,
I think
wow.
that
Yeah.
would be awesome, and you could say, "I talked about you on this show."
Yeah,
Right.
I think I will.
Isn't that cool though, that when we talked about the 5 different levels, and when you're really pursuing the elite level,
Mm-hmm.
you have to outwork everybody, even if they're
Right.
not in your industry.
Right.
That's
Right.
because I see that all. I mean, there's people that aren't even involved in the industry I'm involved in, but I'm watching them, and I mean, they shame me sometimes. I mean, I'm looking, I'm like, I mean, this guy does. I mean, I'm like, how can I can't let him outwork. I mean, all our lives, I'm going to tell y'all a funny story now. I used to get in so much trouble for this. When he was young and about that tall, we'd go out to play basketball. And I'm terrible at basketball, by the way, but I could kick his tail at that time.
Yeah, when I
He's
was
that
5.
tall. He would shoot, I'd slap it down like Shaq or something like that. And everybody's like, "Why don't you let him score?" I'm like, "What? Why don't you let him make it? You're breaking his spirit." And I wasn't. I was, maybe I
Poor
wasn't.
Dane.
This is what I dealt with.
And so
He could have been a professional
Yeah, I
basketball
know.
player.
he's doing just fine now. I'd rather him be where he is. So I remember the day that he was 15, I think, and we're playing. We go out one day to play basketball, and he beats me 10-0. First time he had ever beat me, and he whipped me bad. And it was just all of that. I mean, just almost like it was all that stuff that ran through your mind. The fact that he got me. I didn't give him anything.
And I'm
Good
not good
job.
at basketball either, by the way. So that just shows.
He got sick and tired of you
Yeah.
constantly.
but
hitting that
but
ball.
he worked. He worked to get there. That's the thing about it. And
Yeah.
maybe I didn't set the bar too high, but he beat it. And I think that's what we have to look at that in our professional lives. That there's someone out there, regardless of if they're a direct competitor to us. Do we want to be the weak link? You know, in coaching
Yeah.
football, as a coach, we had the defensive back coach, which is what I was. We had a linebacker coach, defensive line coach. I wanted my group to outperform. Now we're a team, right?
Right.
We're going to win together. We're going to lose together. But I didn't want my team to be the weak link in that game. So I wanted
Right.
I wanted to make sure that we were prepared, and I wanted the defense to outperform the offense. And it didn't necessarily happen his senior year. Their offense was crazy.
pretty good.
But that's just I think I watch people, and I'm not saying that's my mentality, but only because I see the people that are highly successful do that. Not saying I've got there yet, but that's what I'm chasing.
And I feel like there's two sides of it because, like, a story for me is when we started our company, I'd come from a different credit repair company for a while, extremely successful here in Dallas. The owner, you know, everything that he had accomplished is a goal of mine and was a goal of mine. Well, every day, you know, as the day would end, you have employees wanting to leave at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, got to go do this, got to go do that.
Right.
And I knew that a lot of people at this company, including the owner, weren't leaving until 6, 7, 8 o'clock. And I said, we'll never catch up to them if we're not at least doing what they're doing. And so I always, and I still to this day, I have a habit, even if I have absolutely nothing to do, which there's no such thing, there's always something to do.
Right.
I will not leave my office before 6 o'clock. I just won't do it.
Nope.
I've said, and I've made a point, even if I'm just sitting there, I'm just not going to leave because I'm not going to get on that slope of, you know, finding a reason to do it. And so I always use that as motivation. I have to do more than him, the owner, every day, or I'll never, ever be there. And then
Right.
on the flip side, if you're on top, if you're that guy, or like a Mark Cuban quote, he says, you have to work every day like somebody's trying to come take everything that you have away from you. So if you're on top, you want to stay on top.
Yep. You got to
Right.
fight like you're the third monkey trying to get on the ark.
Oh my God, I say that all the time.
Do you really?
I love that quote.
I do too. I do too. So as far as accountability goes, let's talk now about how that applies to our customer service, business to business relationships, our industry relevance. I mean, we've touched on it, but let's just summarize that. Customer service, we talked about how if a mistake happens, we want to make sure that we take ownership, address, fix, and so let's talk about that a little bit about how that can impact the relationship with the customer.
Pretty bad.
Could you? Well, I mean, but what if you do a good job? So here's my thought process on that. If you give realistic expectations when people start, all right, I think that's all should do that.
Right.
There's Murphy's Law. If it's going to go wrong, it probably will. I just want you to know that I'm going to fix it if it does. I'm going to let you know what happened. I'm going to fix it. If you stay true to those words and you fix the process, well, how's the customer feel then? I mean, I think that's somebody that if I see somebody working hard to serve, I'm going to refer people to them. I mean, I think no one notices when everything goes perfect.
Right.
Right.
They only notice when everything
When
goes
it goes
bad,
really bad.
Right.
and they notice if how good you are at fixing it.
Right.
Right.
I mean, when I start a process off with a customer every time, I set proper expectations, what to expect at the beginning, what's going to happen halfway through, and all the way to the very end. But I'm always reminding them what not to do. But there's
Don't go buy a car the week before closing.
don't quit your job.
Don't quit.
The same common problems.
Right.
Can I go buy a washer and dryer now? There's a sale. Oh, Black Friday's coming.
Yeah. It's going to cost
You know?
some people their house. Thank you, Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Right.
I
There's
know.
all those stuff. Some customers they do think they're slick, that we're not going to find out. But we tell them your credit's being monitored. We're going to get a notification if you go increase your debt, anything, and we tell them, is it really worth it to risk a house? Sometimes we can fix it and it's fixable. Sometimes there's not a way to fix it. But I'm full disclosure as well as being full disclosure with the realtor, the entire circle. So if anything happens and it was out of our control, the expectations were set.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's bad news, yes, it doesn't matter whether you were, right about it, you're still going to look bad.
This
Yeah.
is where I think what you just said, because I'm going to relate it to my industry, gets interesting with the topic of accountability. Because I had a realtor come to my office yesterday for about almost 3 hours. We were discussing one specific client that was unhappy with some things that happened. Now, I said, look, I have recorded phone calls, text messages,
Right.
emails. I can show you that everything that this person didn't understand, we'd gone over multiple times. So I had that. But at the end of the day, I said, look, I take responsibility. If they didn't know, then that's my fault. Doesn't matter if I can give you 5 recorded phone calls where I
Right.
said, you need to pay down your credit cards, you need to do this, you need to do that. Point is, the client is saying that they still didn't really know. It doesn't matter if
That they
if we-
acknowledged it in an email or everything
and
like
so,
that.
like you just said, even though you're telling them and you have it documented, just like I always
Right.
do, at the end of the day, like I took responsibility. I said I'm going to have to figure out a way to get better,
Right.
or else we're going to continue to have this problem.
Yeah, and we try to fix it if we can, but sometimes you can't help it when somebody goes and buys a car or increases their debt because you're close to borderline anyway, and you gave them instructions, hey, stay out of this price point. Stay here. If your taxes go up that high, you're done. They know these instructions when they're shopping, but sometimes they play, I didn't know.
Yeah. And we all, I think, need to take it easy on each other as far as like if the realtor got upset with you because of something, even though you told them, or
Yeah.
if the realtor gets
Right.
upset with me, even though I told them. Like, when I work with you, there's 2 things I want you to know. Number 1, that I know what I'm doing. I need
Right.
to prove that without a shadow of a doubt that I know what I'm doing. And number 2, that you can trust me that I have the best interest for you and the client. And if that's the case, then if there is a mistake, you're going to trust me and you're going to know I know what I'm doing to fix it.
Right.
And that's as far as you can go.
Well, that's where that accountability comes in, because obviously when you partner with someone and someone starts sending you referrals, they trust you. They trust you enough
Right.
to do that. And that's a big step of trust, to send a referral to someone.
Yeah, it is.
So you can only damage that from here on out. And avoiding the accountability process is going to destroy that immediately.
Right.
And that's where when I go back and talk about the relational versus transactional, I think the transactional minded people don't see it that way.
Right.
They're not thinking, look, this is one deal. This is
Paycheck.
one deal. Maybe it was going to be a good commission, but it's one deal. How many deals, if I accept accountability and this one falls completely apart, but I keep your trust, I keep your respect, how many deals down the road are we going to be able to do together because of that?
Right.
Because of the willingness to be accountable, even when you might not have to be.
I mean, we're all in real estate. We know what happens out there. We all have the same stories. We know what happens. Realtors have the same stories that we do. If you're working with a really good team and communication is there 100%, we're all going to be on the same page, and we all sit there and we help and coach that person.
And that's the way it should be. And I think that is a kind of a disconnect sometimes. I think that not everybody is pulling the same direction
Right.
at the same time. And one of the things I think, and reason I think that is because I think that we've gotten, in our industry, we've gotten too casual in our approach to establishing our relationships. Okay? I don't think that there is like you talked about before, and Sue, I know you do this because we've had this discussion, but just when you're talking to somebody, what's their accountability level? What's their fix-it strategy? And get to know them and how they handle their business. And if it doesn't fit, and this is kind of we touched on our last show, your values and core values, right?
Right.
If accountability is big on your core value and they don't seem to have that, if we're being relational over transactional is big on your core values and they don't seem to have that, that's a red flag, okay? Because business relationships are a lot like personal relationships. And if we go into them too casual without trying to see if we fit, then there's probably going to be a problem somewhere.
Right. You
That's
know
really
what
true.
you know what you're bringing to the table. You know how hard you work, or you know what your experience is and what you're willing to do to go the extra mile. And only after a few minutes you can size that up in someone if they're on the same page as you or not. And if they're not, I mean,
Sometimes you don't know.
well, if they're, yeah, true.
But I think
I've gotten really good at
I think
picking
that
it, but
I think
Yeah.
you've got to kind of interview them.
right.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it should be a mutual. I think that if we all, like us four, for instance, and I'm going to use that as an example, not anybody outside of here, but if we sat down and I said, Bally, just kind of to be, it's almost like going into business together,
Right.
okay, in a partnership.
it is.
You
Right.
want to define the boundaries. It protects everybody.
Right.
So let's talk about what's important to you, what's important to me, how we do business. Do you not think that we would be more solid than if I just gave you a business card and said, "Hey, send me your stuff. I'll take care of it." And then when I don't, you act surprised, like, why didn't you hold yourself accountable
Yeah,
to this?
and that's, we're constantly interviewing and meeting people all the time. For me, and I let it be known at the very beginning when I'm building a relationship with somebody, my biggest pet peeve is communication. A lot of people out there say their biggest pet peeve is communication, but then you start finding out, well, you take 2 days to respond to me. I respond how quickly? Very quickly. And I could be in a meeting, but I'm going to let them know, hey, I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll on a conference call, I'm going to respond back to you. I'm on it. But I always take care of business. I always take care of everybody. And I tell everybody that I work with, I'm in a partnership. It's a relationship. I want to work together as a team.
Yeah.
It's not a transaction. When
Right.
we go out there together as a team.
I think that's a good point. I think y'all three, because I know y'all very well, do a really good job of the relational side. I think that, to your example, I need to get better in that area because I have a lot of relationships, and then I have a lot of the acquaintance, send me a referral, thank you very much kind of thing, and those are the ones I have issues with, and I can't help but think, man, if they just knew me like Bally does or like Sue does, then they wouldn't be saying that. They just don't understand. But that's my
Right.
fault. You got to go deeper with it or don't work with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the struggle that we have sometimes when we're so busy doing business, we don't have time to work on our business.
Right.
We talked about core values before, and you guys have heard me say the CARE factor. CARE,
Right.
communicate, accountability, reliability, and engagement.
Right.
If you can give me those four things, that's all I need. Because some people, trust is their core value. To me, if I get those four things, that's demonstrative trust right there. But to your point about communication, yeah, everybody says they want it.
Right.
They want you to communicate with me, but that doesn't mean I'm going to communicate
Right.
back.
But their
It's gotta
biggest
be
pet peeve as well is they.
Well, they want
Right.
they want to know when they want to know,
Right.
but they're okay with you waiting.
Right. but if it's
Doesn't work
me and
that
I
way.
take if I take 10 minutes longer to respond than my usual minute or 2 minutes, then they're blowing up my phone.
So let's talk about that real quick, without getting off topic, because this is part of accountability. What's an acceptable time to respond?
Right. I want to know that too.
I'm inconsistent. I'm not going to speak on this.
So I was taught early on by
I'm very quick.
Brewer. What's his
Yeah,
name?
Frank.
Frank Brewer.
Oh, shout out to Frank Brewer.
Shout out to Frank Brewer. We got to get. All right, so I love this guy, but he was a micromanager to a certain extent, but he's a great guy. He goes, you got 24 hours to respond. There is no reason why you cannot. It should be sooner, but it should never go past 24.
24.
Now, in a response, and this was kind of before that I was old. Okay,
I was
Before-
about to say
Like to an
24 hours.
email,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, we had phones back then, but it really wasn't texting.
right.
But now today,
It was a
Bally, if I
pager.
just said, "Hey, Bally, super busy, I'll address this as soon as I can," and then
Yeah.
within 24
Yeah.
hours,
Mhm.
how are you going to be upset about that?
I'm not going to be upset.
I didn't think you would.
Right. Because you already responded to me and said, "Hey, I'm super busy."
Acknowledged you, right?
Right. You acknowledged me, so I'm like,
I
okay,
showed
cool.
I cared.
Right. Exactly. And see, and that's me is I respond so they get acknowledgement. Hey, I've got it. I'm going to be on it. Don't worry. I'm going to have it taken care of. But I don't get that back from my partners. You know, at the same time, show the same respect. We are all on the same page because sometimes there's stuff that I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting 24 hours. I want to know now so I can move on.
Are we really that busy that we can't?
I guess people
Eh,
are. I mean,
Some of us maybe.
but you know what? We're busy, but we respond.
No,
We let you
So
know.
does that? All right. So, and I do believe that. I think that there are people out there that are too busy to do business with me. I believe that. I believe there are people
Okay.
out there too busy because I'm not important. They've got more important relationships than me. Just tell me that.
Right. Be honest.
Be honest. Okay. Let me find someone that can accommodate me, because I think that we have the FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So we want to accumulate everybody, but yet we can only accommodate professionally a few.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and that's okay.
That could be a class because it's hard to do that. I mean, I had the realtor that came to my office. She was shocked that I had an office and a staff. Because I respond so well to her. Anytime she calls me, I answer. It's inconsistent. I'm not that way
Right.
but she was shocked that she's like, I really thought it was just you. I had no idea, just because you're
Wow.
always available. And she sends a
Right.
lot of clients, so she's always, but so is everybody else. You
Right.
know that I have a lot of referral partners
But
and
that's your
clients
business, right?
who
It's
call
your
me.
business.
Yeah, and so just I'm literally on the phone all day.
Yeah.
But then there's some
Right.
people that
Well, and here's the other thing: just none of us are perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's going to be times that I forget.
Mm-hmm.
I try to respond. I mean, I've got Dustin Payne, one of our sponsors, which I've got to give them some shout outs in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But he called me yesterday about something and called me back today about something totally different. And when I saw his call, I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's right.
I didn't do it.
Shame on you,
And-
Lyndon. Shame.
But Dane said this in our very first show. It's self-awareness.
Right.
Are you striving to be perfect in that? And none of us are ever going to be perfect, but are you striving to at least make improvements in that?
Well, no one's going to be perfect. And the other thing is, just like you just realized you forgot, people know who you are that know you and work with you. They know that's not normal for you.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. But he wasn't even calling me for that.
Right.
So the first thing when
Yeah.
I answered, I said, "Dude, I dropped the ball." He goes, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a completely different conversation.
Right.
And I said, "I was supposed to send you something. I didn't send it." He goes, "Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good on that. I talked about something else." But I mean, it was in my notes and everything. I just didn't.
And I've done
Yeah.
that once. I've done it once in a blue moon.
That's the
and I
accountability
just-
process, though,
and
right?
what it hurts, like when you realize that you just forgot to do that because it's not normal for you to do it. You're
Right.
like, oh my god, oh crap! Like
Yeah.
what
Oh,
the
I
hell?
get
Like
pissed.
I just,
I get
Yeah.
I
pissed at
cannot
myself.
believe I did that, and I'm apologizing and texting,
Yep.
but they didn't care. They're like, that's fine, no worries, no
Because
big
they're not
deal.
getting responded for 3 days with some people. I
But
mean,
yeah, mine is the same day, but it happened later in the day, but they were fine with it, but I was not fine with it.
right.
Right.
How do you manage that though
What?
when everybody really wants a lot of your time and you're
Some people think that you are only servicing them.
Yeah.
Well, I
No,
think
I know that's what
Right?
I'm
How do you manage those
that's
people
why
to
I'm
realize
being
you're not my
quiet
only person?
on your end. Like if you text me, I'm texting you right back.
Right.
Same thing with Sue.
But I
Right.
like
I prioritize. I have to. I mean, somebody's got to get responded to.
Right.
But everybody wants my time, mostly clients, but a lot of, hey, what's going on with this client? And this, why don't you go through all 25 of them real quick?
Right.
But I got 5 more people who are ringing in at the same time asking the same thing.
I
Yeah.
think
Right.
that mainly, a couple things. One, in the program that I was talking about is you've got to list out who your A players are, your B players are, and who takes ultimate priority.
Right.
Those are the ones that are equitable in our relationship and how they respond to me as well. I'm going to
Right.
respond to people that respond to me faster than I respond to people that don't.
They give you the same respect back.
Absolutely. Now, at the same time, I think you have to coordinate your time, and that person that calls you and they want to, without warning, they call you or send you a text and give me a readout on my 25.
Right.
I may have to set a time with you 2 days later to do that. That may not come today.
Yeah.
Okay, because the organization and management of your time, I think, is very, very important. I had a lady call me the other day that wanted me to be involved in something, and really sweet. We're good friends, and I told her, I said, I'm gonna, and this is the first time I've used this, and I was proud and happy that I did, and she really appreciated it. I said, look, I'm sure what you're asking me to do is completely, it has value. But to be honest with you, I am so focused on my plate's full, and I can't dedicate the time or any resource that would be respectful of your time.
That was a very good answer.
Yeah.
And she's
Very
like,
good.
wow, no one's ever explained it to me like
Yeah.
that before. And that's how I would like somebody, just tell me that.
Yeah.
Don't just pull me into your group because you don't want me going somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So she can go out and use her time now more effectively on someone that can give her the time and attention that she needs.
Right.
Right. And coordinating your time is a struggle for me because a lot of times I get calls and texts and things like that when I'm sitting in front of someone or I'm sponsoring an event and I can't answer. And then a lot of times I'm flying 70 miles an hour down the freeway and I can answer, I can talk, but I can't look something up.
Right.
I can't, so unlike Dane and Bally, you guys have a lot of office time where you're sitting at your desk, which is, I'm not saying yours is easier than mine, but I think you can coordinate your time better than I can. So I sometimes maybe, but I struggle with that.
But I think just setting the expectations and people understanding what your life's like. The people
Right.
and again, that goes back to a more formal relationship, and that is a relationship. It's not transactional. People that are transactional don't know anything about you. They don't know what your busy schedule looks
They don't know
like.
how many kids you have. They don't.
They don't.
know
So
your
they're not.
family,
They're not
nothing.
respectful.
Shout out
Oh.
to the people who are respectful though. When you say I got kids and they're like, I get it.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
That makes me so happy when people understand that.
But
Yeah.
that goes back to something we said about communication.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we first meet people, they need to know who we are and what we have going on, how it looks and feels to be doing what we're doing, and what our purpose is, how we want to serve them. So I mean that may be the key. If I can relay to you how I want to serve you, Sue, I'm going to get with you in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I may not get with you immediately. If you give me a 911, and I know it's in every call you ever send me is not just a 911.
Yeah,
then-
that's the code. We'll use it every time.
Yeah,
That's
a 911. But I get a 911 from you, then I know, okay, this is super important based on what we're doing together, right? So we all have to be understanding and respectful
Right.
of other people's jobs and their time and the challenges that they have and the fact that, but again, I think accountability starts that trust factor.
Right.
I mean, when I see, who was it that I messaged the other day because I'd sent a text. I didn't get anything back. I sent a text again 24 hours
It was not me.
he's looking at you.
It's not
I'm just
me.
making sure
Never
she's
me.
paying attention. So I sent a text 24 hours later,
That'd be weird if it was me.
and then I sent one later. I said, "Are you okay?" Because it was completely not normal. And guess what?
What?
No,
They
There'd been
weren't
some-
okay?
They were okay, but there'd been a family issue, and
Oh wow.
and they were, so I never once thought they're just ignoring me.
Yeah.
I never got angry. I'm just like, okay, so in my mind, this is how I thought. I sent the first text 24 hours later. I'm like, maybe the text didn't go through.
Mm-hmm.
I never once thought that person was responsible for not responding because of how they always have.
That's the thing is you're used to the way they respond, so you
Right.
probably did think something was wrong
Yeah.
because
I did. And
Right.
she goes, I can't believe you asked me if something was wrong. How'd you
Yeah.
know? I'm like, because something had to be wrong.
yeah,
Mhm.
you're used. You know.
Right. And so, I mean, I've told you this before. You juggle a lot. I mean, and I'm not. I know we all do, We do. Everybody's business, everybody's responsibilities are different. But when you've got 800 clients, and you got partners, and you got new clients coming in, and you got a baby at home, that's tough. And I think that I don't really know that I have an answer to do it better than what you do it.
That's why I'm just smiling and listening, because I don't have the answer either.
Well, I think that I sit in an office next to him, and so I listen to the conversations, and I think that he establishes in a very short period of time with the clients a relationship where, again, they have the expectation. They understand that this guy's on their side,
Right.
right? And I
They
think
can
that the people,
tell by the conversation on the phone if you're trying to be sales pitchy.
transactional versus relational.
Right.
If you're, there's a friend of mine that has the saying commission breath.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard that?
No.
Be careful with commission breath. You'll turn people off, right? And I think that we know that. Drive up to a used car lot, see what happens.
I was about to say something about a used
Go
car.
there.
I remember a long
For
time
all you
ago.
used car salesmen watching, sorry, no offense.
Quit it. There was one time, it was a many years ago. I walked into a car dealership to trade in my car. I walked right back out when the salesman sat in front of me and said $5, started putting money in front of me, and said that if I could make this deal happen, or he kept throwing money in front of my face saying $5 bet I can get it done. And then he came back $10 bet. I said, you know what? I'm out. You're not building a relationship with me. You're basically trying to pull a sales pitch with me, and you're showing how many bets that I can get this done, how many bets I can get it done, and you're using a $5, $10, everything like that. And I thought, oh my God, you sound like you're a used car salesperson.
I would have said,
I
where's
don't-
the hundreds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I mean, if there was thousands involved,
Then
I
maybe.
would be listening, but it was $5. It was $10.
Yeah,
And I
he's
was
way
like-
down there on the hobby part-time level, and you're looking for elite money, right?
I was looking for elite money, and he was giving me like the 99-cent
The
dollar store
transactional
money.
money.
So I was like, thank you so much. I'm out.
Yeah.
And left.
Yeah.
Can't see who that would appeal to.
No,
Right.
I know.
But do you realize there are some people that still sell like a used car salesperson?
That's just the way
You
that-
know it when you're dealing with
Yeah.
it. Those
Yeah.
are the people that don't communicate.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trained that way back in fitness.
Right.
You were trained to hard sell people.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and you went through
Yeah.
a career of hard selling, and it's for people with a genuine heart. That's a very difficult challenge. You want to be relational. I think that for some people it's just natural to be relational.
Right.
I think some people are in environments where management dictates how they sell,
Right.
and they're probably not happy doing it that way. But they've got cameras, and everybody's watching. And
Everybody's
so
listening
if
to
you
your
don't
calls.
hit, if you don't hit
Yeah.
those sales points, that you get sent home.
Right.
And so, but in today's
You're
world,
laughing. Did you get sent home?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Several times.
I wasn't even talking about how I did too.
I've never been sent home.
No.
So there was a deal one day where the sales manager just wanted us to stand up all day and
All day?
Yeah, all day. Don't sit down. So it was a contest. Whoever won, he thought only one person would do it, got money, whatever. Typical sales floor kind of thing. So if like 5 or 6 people made it all day, and so nobody got anything. So the next time, and obviously plenty of people sat down. Many people can't stand up all day. So
Right.
I just competitively wanted to do it. I was like 23. It was not that big of a deal.
Right.
So the next time he gets this great idea, I'm like one of the first people set down because I'm like, I'm not, I'm working today. I'm not getting the money, whatever. And
Right.
he sent me home for doing that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
You should have been putting $5 and $10 in front of
Right?
people.
I know.
So let me see what we got. About 6 minutes left. Let me talk about some people that help make this thing happen. If I can get their information up here.
You already forgot?
I didn't forget.
He wants to make sure
just-
he reads it right.
I do. I want to make sure I
I'm
don't
holding
miss-
him accountable.
There you go. There you go. First, I want to give a shout out to Shannon Cagle, Dustin Payne over at Payne Insurance, commercial insurance. This is a business radio show, so every business out there probably needs some sort of business insurance. If you were witness or know about the tornadoes that came through just a few weeks ago, a lot of businesses were were damaged by that. If you're looking to protect everything that you've been building, you want to call Shannon. Give Shannon a call at 940-230-6054. Another guy that good friend of mine and great sponsor is Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus right here in Frisco, Texas. Brian believes communication and action with integrity are the cornerstones of the world-class service and guiding principles of Real Property Management Focus. So if you're looking to partner with a property manager or anything to do with property management, give Brian a call, 469-820-0088. Want to give a big shout out to the Real Estate Triangle, Adam and Liz Terrell. Adam was on the previous show. Adam created and Liz created the Real Estate Triangle. It's a group of small business owners that surround the real estate transaction. Inspectors, roofers, lenders, electricians all go into this social media group. They're able to identify the elite players in there and partner with the right ones, the ones that are accountable. And so he brings a great platform to be able to make those connections that you need to provide more of a concierge service in the real estate industry. Brian Dobbs, business coach, is a speaker, minister, just wrote a book called Uniquely Called. It's a great book that talks a little bit about how to find your pathway in the business world. And then we have James Kern with Delicate Moving. James actually sent me a text today. It was kind of funny. James been in the moving business for 20 years, completed over 20,000 successful moves. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, elite service provider for Home Advisor, and a 5-star rating on Angie's List. So I don't have James's number here, shame on me, but it is on our website, so I'll plug that. That's www.#theword-the-difference. So go on there. We have all the information there. I'll also put some information up on this after the show. Kelly Houston, a.k.a. the Goosehead Lady. She is the owner of Goosehead Agency and wants you to know that one thing, trust equals peace of mind. One thing about Kelly is that if you're looking for an insurance provider, she's going to make sure that you got the right policy so that if anything does happen, you can trust that you're taken care of. And you can reach her at 940-222-5599. And finally, last but not least, Josh Small, WeatherTech General Contracting. Josh is a remodeler, roofer, construction, home builder, all of the above. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for a preferred roofer, remodel, or general contractor, give Josh a call. Or if you need some work done on your home, give Josh a call at 469-544-3958. So we got a couple of minutes left. Who's got something else to say about accountability?
They're doing it right now. They're responding to
I
all
know.
their text messages.
I know.
I know.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Now, might as well use my
responded
time
to-
wisely.
Yeah, responded
Yes,
to mine.
yes.
They did theirs.
I
think you
pretty
just
much
did
said
it.
Doing
everything.
radio and closing deals. It's
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I know.
Multitasking.
Multitasking. So, no, I just want to say this is one thing that I was thinking of as we were talking about accountabilities. Sometimes you need to be accountable to address that something needs to be done about something instead of letting a situation continue or being swept under the rug. Someone needs to be accountable and stand up and say, okay, we need to change the way we're doing this because obviously it's not working.
right.
And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, we talked about this a little bit before. They're reactive versus proactive. And proactive
Right.
people want to get out in front of a problem. They want to anticipate that problem and they want to address it before it happens because it's a lot easier to prevent than it is to recover from what happens.
exactly.
Also, I think that one thing that I definitely have changed from being, make excuses, come up with reasons, not take responsibility if something happens, to being accountable for everything and taking responsibility. And I think what's funny that I realize is, you look worse, really, I mean,
Yeah.
that person who steps up and takes responsibility all the time and tries to fix it looks better and says, I made a mistake, let's fix it.
Taking the high road. And
Yeah,
just,
versus saying, that wasn't me.
But-
I'm over here doing this.
Okay,
that
but-
person looks worse.
The reason why, again, what you said, a lot of people are afraid, oh, what if it doesn't work and I make a mistake?
Yeah, but I
You're
say
gonna-
we
you're
have to
gonna- yeah.
remember that you cannot if you look petty and weak, you cannot be elite.
Right.
And taking accountability shows strength.
Right.
So we got to start wrapping up now. We got a few seconds left. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. It's a
Great
pleasure.
show. I really enjoyed all of it. Great stories. So we want to thank you all for tuning in today, and hopefully everyone listening found our ideas and some of our suggestions to be of value. Next week, we're going to have a brand new set of co-hosts, and we'll be talking about things that make the difference. So don't forget to comment on our show, follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, check out our website at #thedifference.com. And from all the folks at KVGI and The Difference, we hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget that you can never make a difference until you're consistent in making and doing the things that make the difference. And so until next week, in everything you do, the difference is you.